Obviously, anytime you win on homecoming, even if it's a rainy, dreary homecoming, but actually caught a break with the weather because it was obviously way worse on Friday. It was almost Friday afternoon would have been almost unplayable. So did it rain, but didn't affect the game a whole lot from that standpoint. Pretty cool. Celebrate Western. Yoch said it right after the game. Western Women's College, the only undefeated team in the history of college football. There probably is another undefeated, but we'll be one of the few undefeated teams in the history of college football. So awesome celebration. It was unfortunate. I thought blue uniforms. I wore my vest today just because everybody said I didn't get to see the blue vest. I'm like, yeah, it was kind of raining. That's why we kind of had to wear rain gear. I appreciate that. So I thought we'd wear it today since it's not raining in here. But pretty awesome. Like I said, my daughter goes to Miami, and, there was a time she wouldn't be able to come here, and have all the same rights and privileges and opportunities that everybody else have. And so everybody's like, what'd you think about, I said, I think it's awesome. I have a daughter that gets to go to school here now, and different time, different place, and pretty historical moment as things like that happen through history. And we take it for granted because it's, now women can go to the same college as ever. They don't have to go to some special little college down the road has no resource. So to celebrate that and on homecoming is pretty cool. We talked a lot about it during the week. The game, obviously, knockdown, drag out, start to finish. It felt good defensively, but we gave up two huge plays, one for a touchdown, which one play touchdown drive you can't do, especially when you're playing really solid defense. We were playing offensively, had some good stuff going in the run game in the first half, had some okay stuff going in the pass game. Should have been 13-10 at half and feeling pretty good about things and feeling really good because they had that one play drive. Another turnover in the red zone, which again, really uncharacteristic of Brett. His whole career is, he has a ton of strengths, and one of his huge strengths is, his pocket presence and getting out of bad plays, and sometimes turning bad plays into good plays, sometimes turning bad plays into okay plays, and sometimes just throwing the ball away and just for whatever reason coming back this year, trying to do too much in situations and like I said, his whole life he's never done it, and then it's almost unexplainable. But again, we got to just get him back into taking what the defense given, not trying to do too much and try to win the game on those downs, which he's done a couple times, and obviously he's been crucial. Huge penalty in the third quarter on a punt return for a touchdown. Senseless penalty because really no effect on the play. It was nowhere near the returner. We got to be smarter at the end of our block there. And that was, obviously take 7 points off the board. We took 3 points off the board right before halftime. And those are things you do in close games that usually cause you to lose. We had 4 starters out going into the game, which isn't great. 4 pretty darn good players. And then you lose Rayon, you lose Borders. We lost KD for a while. We did get KD back, thank goodness. But we had lost, so now you're down 7 starters and you're in a dogfight, and defense gets a little worn down. Our last 2 drives on defense weren't great, but on the last drive we did get a huge stop to hold them to field goal. There was we ended up losing 15 seconds on the clock on some weird rule that's, should be looked at. It is a rule, so we're not complaining here, but it just should have got the ball back with 55. We got it back with 40, which that's a pretty big difference. I'm talking about a couple plays, and when you don't have many plays left. Had a great 40-second drive, not a 2-minute, really a great 36-second drive. We hit KD 5 times in a row. Brett took what they gave. We were trying to push the ball down the field. It wasn't like we were just trying to dink it, but Brett was trying to push it down the field and trying to get that one chunk play you needed to go up and spike it and, get 20 or 30 yards in one clip. But he kept taking what they give him. The one time they covered us, he scrambled and got out of bounds, which was huge. That was a play, probably the biggest play in the drive. The other ones, he just kind of took what they give him, and then that play, there was nothing, and he had a scramble, and he ran across the field and got out of bounds and still got us 5 or 7 yards. Then we hit KD a couple more times, got down to 28. We were trying to at least get to the 35 to try a really long one. When you got to 28, you felt pretty dang good because you knew it was well within Dom's range, and he didn't have to try to, really jump at it and make a kick. And then obviously pressure of the world's on you, and like we talked after the game, Dom always talks about hero or zero, and that's why he loves kicking, and that's the moment he loves, and he's been talking about that since I first met him in high school. I'm like, why do you like kicking? He goes, hero or zero, coach. You get to walk out there and at the end of the game and either they love you or they hate you. He's like, that's what I love about it, so you definitely have the right guy, right mentality for that, and then he bangs a great kick from 47 or 46 plus. We get another huge stop in overtime, and then Dom makes another big kick, and you get out of homecoming with a really hard-fought victory. Really proud of the guys. You lose Borders, you lose Rayon, you add it to all the other guys that weren't playing, and a lot of things happen during the game that usually dictates that you end up losing, and our kids hung in there and didn't get down, and we talked all week about just, getting rid of the expectations and just fighting for each other, and they did that, and it turns out that's probably was the difference in the game is our kids never got down, and we had tons of opportunities, whether it be something that UMass did, whether it be a call went against us, or whether it be injuries, or whether it be our own self-inflicted stuff. We had plenty of reasons to not feel good at the end there with 40 seconds. Our kids took the field with the plan, hey, we got to get down there, give us one more chance, and they did it, and so pretty awesome victory.
Coach, as we're heading into MAC play, what are some focuses on offense that you're looking to kind of enhance on or adjust?
Yeah,
or
obviously,
trying to figure out?
Last few weeks we've run the ball better. I wouldn't say we've run it as good as we'd like, but we've run the ball better, so we want to continue to run the ball better. We started at Notre Dame after the first couple weeks. We didn't run it very well, and then we started to get our footing in our run game, and then we obviously ran the ball much better last week. But we got to continue to run the ball better. And then protections, route running, throwing the ball efficiently. 5 for 5 in the last drive is a good starting point, But again, us being more efficient in the passing game, and we're hitting some plays, and we hit some big plays, but there's still plenty more efficiency, and it's everything. It's from protections to the routes to the quarterback's decisions to the catching. I thought we really fought for the football Saturday. I thought we made contested plays Saturday. So I think there's things coming along there, but just more efficiency in the passing game.
Coach, you mentioned you weren't thrilled with the last two drives from your defense in regulation. What do you think was the difference then for the defense in overtime to get the stop?
Yeah, we were short a lot of bodies, and we were worn down, and probably should have utilized a few more kids, in those situations. But they definitely wore us down, and their tailback. They kind of exclusively went to their quarterback run game down the stretch. Like, now you can't run a whole game like that because you'd kill your quarterback. But in that situation, they went to their quarterback who's 6'4", 220, and he had run effectively in spurts during the game. But like I said, but those last two drives, they just said, okay, well, we're trying to win the game. We're not worried about putting him in harm's way anymore. We're just going to keep humping the quarterback. So that's kind of the situations. We got to get off some blocks. We got to tackle better. But we missed a lot of tackles. So we know we got to tackle better. And he's a big physical kid, and he stiff-armed us some. But we were definitely worn down at the end. And again, like I said, we had two key stops because we did hold them a field goal by the skin of our teeth, but that changed. If we had to get 7 in 40 seconds, probably not happening, So them finally getting a stop on that second last drive, then obviously getting a stop in overtime and forcing a long field goal was huge.
Did you sense that kind of calmness and confidence for Brett before he went out for that last drive in regulation?
Yeah, confidence for sure. Brett's always pretty calm. Brett's super competitive, so he's definitely ready for any time he's got a chance to take the field. That's what we love about him. He's dying to get out there. So I did sense it from our offense. We were, there was a long drive before that but our kids were really good. Like, we weren't worried about the defense, which happens. It's a tie game. You want to watch. Our kids are, the coaches were going through every scenario in 2 minutes. We didn't know what it was going to look like. We could have got a stop and had the ball with 4 minutes left with a chance to win the game. Or we could have been down 7, we could have been down 3. We didn't. It ended up 40 seconds down 3. So as the clock's moving, we kept talking about, hey, now we're in this mode. Okay, now we're in this mode. Like, we knew at that point it was first down or out of bounds or game over. Like, if you caught one in play, that wasn't a first down. So as we got down, we got in that mindset. We have words for all the different situations. So they knew when we hit the field, it was like, you're not catching it unless you know you can get out of bounds, or you get it, because if we get a first down, you can kill it, at least quickly stop the clock. Or anything else. So that's how we ended up, and they were ready for, okay, everybody knew, like, if you're catching a short pass and you don't have a ton of clean air, you got to just let it go. You got to bat it down. You can't, and we were trying not to run anything that would be the scenario. We did hit KD on a crossing route, which we felt like he could win on, but like he knew if he didn't win, he can't catch and get tackled there on not in the last play, but the second to last play was probably the riskiest play we called. But we felt like he could win clean and catch it and have some air to get out of bounds, which he did, and got a nice gain on. So, but Brett saw his comp, but I felt like our whole offense, and I felt like our whole team, it was a frustrating day, but we didn't get frustrated. We just kept playing. We kept playing. That probably what bailed us out in the end.
Coach, how much difference do you see between the Toledo team that you played twice last year and the one this year? I mean, they don't have Finn, but they've got some other playmakers. I know Torres, who did some damage last year. The tight end, he's back.
Yeah,
So
tight
how
end's
much
back.
difference?
Their two top wideouts are back. Their second tailback's back. He's not. Boone, who's a bigger back, this guy's smaller, he runs like 10-4 electric 100 meters, and he returns kickoffs for touchdowns all the time, and he's electric dynamic. They got a bunch of new O-linemen up front. They got their quarterback, who we know about because he's been their backup for a couple years. But yeah, they have some new pieces, but they have also, like I said, they got the wideouts. The wideouts are running backs, their tight ends are electric, and their quarterback's a good player. Just a little different Finn. He's still very key. He's a big, strong runner, more like the kid we just played. He's not like as fast as Finn was, like as a scrambler, but they actually do more quarterback design runs this year than they did with Finn. They usually let Finn get most of his stuff ad-libbing and quarterback scrambles. They ran a bunch of Q draws, which will still run, but they got Q pin and pull, and they have a bunch of Q runs in. This is a big, strong kid. Defensively, they lost a lot, but they got a lot back. Their D-line, of their top 8 to 10 guys, they got about half of them back. They lost about half, but like hardly anyone that's playing in their D-line didn't play in the MAC championship. Like they all played. They weren't all starters, but they all were playing. They got Bolden back at linebacker. They got They got 2 of their top 3 inside backers back. They lost their three top corners. So there's new guys there, and then they got 2 of their top 3 safeties back. So there is a lot of new faces, but there's a lot of old faces too. There's a lot of they're in our league. If you just polled our league, and talked to all the coaches and all, like they're the twitchy, most athletic, explosive team in the league. They typically are year in, year out. I don't think there'd be much a debate about that. I'm not, they're a talented group, and they're a talented group again this year. They're defensively, I said it a year ago twice, I'll say it again, like different structure than our defense, but to me, I would imagine if I listen to our defensive coaches talk to their defensive players, it would be very similar philosophy to what we do. They're very simple. They're very sound. They play very hard. They know where to go. They know how to adjust. They know how to take advantage of if you have tendencies, because they don't do 27,000 different things every week. They play to the strengths of their kids. They know what their kids are good at, and they put themselves in position to play their strengths. And so, like, there's a reason they're really good on defense. And then offensively, they're still very explosive. Like I said, they have probably 3, maybe not the 3 most explosive athletes in the league, but 3 of the most explosive athletes in the league for sure on their offense that can go. UMass had the ball for 35 minutes against them, 37 minutes against them, outgained them, but kickoff return for a touchdown and two explosive passes, 40 yards, 70 yards, like they score in a hurry. Because they've got dynamic athletes, and compared to a lot of teams in our league, that if they get a guy out there, it gets ugly in a hurry. So they run the ball, and they push the ball down the field, and they do a really good job. So it'll be, again, there's a reason, they were arguably the best team in our league last year. I know we got them in the end. I think we had the 2 best teams in the league last year. It was a knockdown dragout. We lost a game here that could have went either way, and then we had a knockdown dragout, and we won a game that could have went either way in the MAC championship game. So we know how talented they are, and we know how well coached they are, and we got a ton of respect for them. And again, not a great, we ended the game with 6 starters out. Will we get any of them back? Hopefully we'll get a couple of them back, and we're, on top of that, we got backups out. We don't even count, like, we had number of guys that would have played as backups that were out also, that would have been starting because other guys were out. So we're pretty beat up right now. They're sitting on a bye week. They got us at home. Schedule couldn't set up any better for them. So next week we go to Eastern, who's got a really good team, and they got a bye week this week, and they got us at home, and so I don't know how we work this out, but this couldn't be any worse of a scenario. So, but again, kids are excited about the victory. We know we got a lot of things to work on. We're not the team we can be yet. We know on both sides of the ball in ST we're doing a lot of good things, but we're also doing a lot of things that got to get corrected. We got to improve in certain areas, and we're going to keep working hard and try to get a little healthier as we move forward. But this will be another knockdown drag out.
In the SEC, they have "it just means more." What does MACtion mean for you and this team?
MACtion mean for, I don't know, that's just the league we play in. It means everything. Like, this is, you know, your goal every year is to get to Detroit and fight for a conference title. And, you know, like you said, the schedule makers got a good one right off the bat, you know, for the first week of MACtion. Like, they got Miami at Toledo, and obviously the two teams that played in Detroit last year, so everybody will be like, it'll be a marquee matchup right out of the chute. But obviously for us, it's just a hugely important game. They're all hugely important from now on, but obviously when you play Toledo on the road, that's, you know, that's a really tall task, and you got to do it right out of the chute. So this is an enormous game for them, enormous game for us.